What if the most powerful forces shaping your life were invisible? Not invisible like air or gravity, but unseen because they exist in another dimension. Rather spiritual, the imaginal, the archetypal. Beneath the rational sky, there is this ocean, and it is the ocean of the mind. In astrology, it is symbolized by Neptune, the ruler of the ocean of the mind, the ruler of not logic, but the ruler of mystery, magic, and the longing of the soul to return to what cannot be named and is free of definition and form. Today, let's enter the oceanic mystery of Neptune, the planet of dreams, dissolution, spiritual longing, and divine illusion, as well as psychic madness and the seeking of oblivion. What does Neptune want from you? What happens if you ignore its calling in your astrology chart? We're going to explore that. Welcome to Heart Astrology. I'm Dorje Kirsten, a professional astrologer. If you love myth-infused, historical, technical, and soul-centered astrology, please like and subscribe to my channel and share these words with others. If you know how and where Neptune is in your life, if you want to know about where it is, if you want to know how it works for you after hearing this video, please contact me at www.heartastrology.com. Now, back to the topic. Neptune being invisible to the human eye was discovered by a telescope on September 23rd, 1846. Uranus, which is occasionally visible to humans, is a visible planet, but Neptune was invisible. It required humans to invent, or perhaps rediscover, the telescope to map its pathway through the sky and understand it as a planet. This is the first archetype of Neptune that you should be familiar with if you're studying astrology. Neptune is the invisible that is only made visible through conscious effort. Around when Neptune was discovered, it was about to enter the sign of Pisces in 1846. And this is how it became associated later with the Theosophist astrologers as Pisces. For they looked at it and they looked at it coursing through Pisces. Sephiroth was studying it and he observed Neptune's traits and compared them to the signs and characteristics of Pisces: intuition, mysticism, escapism, dreams, spirituality. And he found a deep resonance with that. And that resonance led to an association. Coming up, we'll look at how this invisible planet plays out in our real lives and why ignoring Neptune's influence may leave you unmoored or even spiritually and psychically lost. My favorite framework for understanding planets is that they are functional material symbols of immaterial archetypes, which can be measured by their motion of their functional and symbolic forms as they travel through the galaxy, as they travel through the solar system. Whether an archetype can be attributed to a self-conscious mind or not doesn't really matter. I'm not claiming that the planets are gods, but as a neo-animist, I believe that they can contain the mind and that they could be gods. The forms do convey the archetypes, however, and they do so on a cyclical basis, which we can understand through the study of astrology. When Neptune was discovered, a Neptunian Pisces archetype was unfolding in the minds of humans. This archetype later became known as spiritualism. Now, my dear gentle listeners, does that not sound like the archetype of Neptune in astrology, the spiritual? This lent itself further by being associated with random synchronicities with the god Neptune, who is the king of the sea itself representing the unknown or the unconscious. Even today, only 24% of the ocean floor has been mapped. Imagine that. When Neptune was discovered, practically nothing of the ocean floor had been seen. Ha! What a naming harmony. So Captain Nemo himself probably would have, been very proud of that. So what do we get? What do we get with Neptune? And how does Neptune represent the unseen? The unseen is both the spiritual and the illusion of the missing. And this is key for understanding Neptune. For the illusion veils that which is true and also veils that which is not materially substantial in form. I find Neptune prominent in the charts then of meditators who are examining the unseen by looking within or relaxing their mind to understand what is not material. You will also find it prominent in the charts of myth weavers, storytellers, liars, deceivers, channelers, people who work in the film industry, light workers, energy healers, psychics, intuitive, knowers of dreams, shamans, psychonauts, those who work with drugs and with fluids. If you feel Neptune moving in your chart or profession, share how in the comments. And if you'd like to navigate these waters, you can book a private reading with me at www.heartastrology.com. But if you leave a comment, I'll give you my opinion on how Neptune works in your chart. Just tell me what house it's in and what sign it's in. Neptune conjunct the ascendant, the ruler of the ascendant, and the midheaven, and the ruler of the midheaven you will find are especially common in the charts of meditators and energy healers. Through all of this, one must be careful though, because Neptune's incredible power also dissolves as it spiritualizes, and this will affect any topic area in the chart that it tightly aspects. For instance, if one were to have Neptune opposing Mars in a matter of 3 degrees, and Scorpio was the ruler of the 4th house, the place of home and family, then one might have family life dissolve in your experience until you learn how to have a spiritual relationship to what family is. Now, Neptune aspecting or conjuncting different planets by a tight degree can also have profound effects. Neptune opposing the sun can cause people who have a hard time defining who they are. Neptune in aspect of Venus can create people who over romanticize the world and become deluded within the romantic fantasies or seek out enjoyment at the expense of hard work, and that causes some difficulties. Neptune in hard aspect to Mars can create people who lack energy or whose bodies are sick and can waste away. So you have to be careful with Neptune. If Neptune is very functional in your chart, you're going to have to learn how to use it and master it in order to have a life that is fulfilling and masterful. But it's something to do. It's something you can do consciously. It's something you can do with wisdom, and astrology teaches that art. Neptune also always delivers a powerful capacity for imagination, which is again the immaterial. This leans into a capacity to visualize, but not necessarily to manifest through that visualization, as Neptune does not bring into the material. Rather, Neptune is the force that brings the material into the vastness of the immaterial being. It is the nature of Pisces, which is associated with it. What happens if you are meant to be connected to the unseen, but you do not consciously work with this energy? Well, then there's 2 types of unhealthy expressions that can arise from Neptune. The first is that the ocean goers become oblivion seekers and sail to distant shores through the use and overuse of substances that create altered states of consciousness and mind in self-addicting and destructive ways. For Neptune dissolves a material form into the illusion. It is the being swallowed by the Leviathan. The second is that depression can arise through not acknowledging one's own spiritual being and separating that being from the material life that we embody. If that happens, then you can find yourself like going and numbing yourself out with modern painkillers, with modern mood stabilizers, not because there's an illness in you, but because your soul no longer feels connected to its principal root. Either way, the archetype principle of Neptune, just as it did by bringing forth spiritualism in the world soul in 1846, is attempting to force the soul into a shamanic healing process in order to make its archetype conscious in the native. Now, if you're having mental troubles, the way to tackle them is not to just go and become a shaman. It's very responsible and important to work with a trained psychiatrist or psychologist in order to find the root of your soul angst and to start moving in a healthy, positive way so you can free yourself of any oppressions mentally that you're feeling and are limiting to you. When Neptune again went through Pisces, though, from 2011 to 2025, it had a huge historical shift that was much different than when it went through in 1846. For it brought to the world soul the rising of microdosing, ayahuasca therapies, neo-shamanism, and the psychedelic revival. Moreover, through the manifestation of Neptune and Pisces, there's a focused rise on social media influencers too. We saw the rise of the prosperity gospel, of the idea that we could visualize or talk ourselves into being wealthy, into having experiences where we were fulfilled by the image rather than the depth of who we were. And that was the misleading nature of Neptune and Pisces. It created an illusion of a life as a constant high of experience and attention, one that did not need to move in the depths of our being. And this was the product of the social media creating dopamine cycles. Again, the internal unseen motion and movement of our moods. And now that Neptune is moving out of Pisces and moving into Aries, we're going to be called in a different way to reclaim our individuality of our souls and our minds from the collective madness of social media into the experience and empowerment of our own souls and our own path. We must develop then a personal connection to our own journey and disconnect from identifying with the boundless collective represented by Pisces and fall into our own present mythological centered nature being. Those with prominent Neptune placements then are going to be called to shift their work from expanding consciousness through substances and meditation to embodying consciousness through meditation and mindfulness, and teaching that path as a way of healing the world's wounds that the current archetypal human shift is generating in the political world around us. My question for you is, will you rise to the call? Again, my name is Dorje. I am Heart Astrology. If this video spoke to your soul, if it spoke to your heart, please like, comment, and share. It helps this work reach those who need it and can find healing through it. If you're ready for personalized guidance, you can book a one-on-one reading at www.heartastrology.com. Until next time, keep listening to the invisible, keep centering and grounding into your own soul. The world needs you.